All right. I know that wasn't a lot of time. But I want us to finish on time and honor your parents. I want us to have a time of worship still. And I also want you guys to hear from one of your peers. I've asked Wyatt Harold to talk about who Jesus has been just even recently in his life. So I want you to hear from him. And so, Wyatt, will you come up? There he is. All right. So he's prepared some words for you.
Well, good evening. I'm going to talk about my journey. My journey with Christ is something that has really gotten bigger in my life this past year. I spent half of the year broken down, angry, and depressed, on top of a crisis of faith. I really didn't know who I was or what I was doing. I would doubt God. And that was back at the beginning of December of 2020, and I didn't know what to do. And it got to a point one night where I just couldn't sleep. And I rolled over and I grabbed my phone and I texted a previous youth leader of mine, Ryan, and I said, "Hey man, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know what's happening. I just need prayer or someone to tell me that I'm going to be okay." And he texted me back some kind words, and it was amazing to know that God really does care, but it didn't just end there. No, it got worse. I went through the rest of 2020 and just broken down and like angry. Like I said, I didn't know who I was. And it was like that for 6 months. And then I remember I got to a point where I didn't want to come to church. I didn't. And I would make up excuses of why I couldn't come. But there was one night, and I'm very grateful that I did come. And it was one night, and Hannah was speaking, and I came. I'm like, okay, I'll just go. And then all of a sudden, something she said sparked a flame in me. And I just went into group that night, and I opened up, and I kept it to myself for 6 months. And I opened up, and the response and the outpour of support and encouragement from my group was overwhelming, so much so that I left that night, and I said, "God, you're doing something here. So take this out of my hands. Do what you are going to do." And so I spent the next few weeks after that night just thinking about that. What is God going to do? And then summer camp came. And I remember moments before we got on the bus, Kevin Cobb was up here, and he said, "This week, so many lives will change." And in my head, I was going, "Not mine." But I said, "I'll give it a shot." So I got up on the mountain, and I said, "Okay, God, do what you brought me up here to do." And he did. On July 20th, it was decision night. And we had just finished our dinner, and we were going into our team meeting, and one of the leaders, the crew up there, said it was decision night. And it just started a whole bunch of emotions in my head. And I started thinking back of how good God was, and that this is just a little mess that I am in. I realized that God is so good because he took me from the brokenness of a middle school where no one would care for me, no one would notice me, no one wanted to be my friend, and put me in a new school and let me be me. And that night, it was so full of emotions because I like to think of it, God was on one shoulder and the devil was on the other. God was telling me, "You're going to recommit your life. You're going to come home." But on the other shoulder, the devil was saying, they're going to judge you. They're not going to see you as the same person. They're going to think different of you. And so when the pastor up there said, for those of you who want to recommit your life to Christ, it got to a point, and I almost didn't stand up, but it was a last-second decision where God said, get up. He said, stand up. And I said, I'm home. And then I looked around, and I saw all of the people who had stood being comforted by their peers and their leaders. And then I said it again. I said, I'm home. And then he prayed the prayer over us, and I sat down, and I started shaking. And I just remember saying to myself, that feeling that I thought was brokenness, that I thought was emptiness, was just God saying, I have you, I got you, and you are loved. I left that night as we silently went back to our cabins. I was just thinking of everything that had just happened and how good God is, that his grace wins every time. So when I got back to our cabin, and Chris, our leader, had asked for those of us who made a decision tonight what we were feeling. And the only word that I could say was thankful. I was feeling thankful. I was thankful for everything that had happened leading up to that week, that night. But I was thankful for God, because he took me on this journey of brokenness, of doubt, and he led me back to him, and I found him again. So I had a strong desire after leaving camp, which I didn't want to leave. I didn't want to leave camp. I didn't want to leave the mountains because I thought I would lose everything that had happened to me up there, but I didn't. So I came back, and I immediately had a desire to get baptized, and which is something I passed on getting baptized. My sister got baptized a few months earlier, and there was just something in me that said no. But I came back, and I started doing Bible devotions every day, and I still do it till this day. And I hear from peers at school that they love them, that it's encouraging, and it just encourages me. And that's how I know that God is good. He is so incredibly good that I was lost once, but now I am found. I want to thank you all.
Thank you, Wyatt. Give him a hand for sure. We're going to do like one more worship song because we're running out of time. But join us in worship. You can stand.